You have it checked in. You need to check in over here.
Did you want me to? Yeah. Ladder. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're all set then.
All right. Any reason why it's last?
We always call it close the last. I don't know if you've seen the sign posted out there.
Yeah.
It says close the last.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Bless. The hearing for the tow.
Okay, I'll call these proceedings to order at approximately 9:32 a.m. on August the 24th, 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Lombard's Administrative Adjudication hearing. My name is Aaron Ranke. I'm a hearing officer who
GPS signal lost.
Today's proceedings. Violations of the Lombard Code. You don't look like a rowdy group, but I say this before every single hearing. We have to proceed in a courteous and respectful manner. So that means no shouting, no swearing, no throwing things. If you have your cell phone, please set it to silent or vibrate. If anyone disrupts these proceedings, I reserve the right to have you removed and hear your case in your absence. The hearings will operate as follows. When your name is called, please step up to the bench and identify yourself for the record. And by identify yourself, I mean please give me your first and last name. I'm going to need you to do that nice and loud for two reasons. One, we are being recorded pursuant to statute and ordinance. And two, I don't always hear as well as my wife would like me to hear, so I want to make sure I can hear what you're saying. So once you're up here, you'll have the opportunity to contest the merits of the alleged violation. My role in all of this is to consider all of the evidence presented and render a fair and impartial decision. I will determine whether you are liable or not liable for the alleged violation, which is essentially guilty or not guilty. So once I render my decision, it's final for our purposes here today. I'll make sure you have an order from the clerk, so on the way out, please stop by the clerk's station and get a written order reflecting my findings. Don't try to re-argue your case with the clerk or the other courtroom personnel. They don't have the authority to overrule me. If you disagree with my finding, you have the right to file an appeal in the 18th Judicial Circuit Court of Illinois. You have 35 days to file that appeal. If you don't file that appeal within that 35-day period, then arguably you've waived your right to do so. You should contact the circuit court clerk or an attorney to determine how to file that appeal. So one of the most common citations I hear is for violation of overnight parking restrictions. There is indeed a village-wide parking ban from 2 to 5 a.m. That overnight parking ban is contained in a variety of places, a website, newsletter, various other places. There are signs posted on some of the major roadways here in town. However, I think we can all agree that it's not practical to put a sign on every street and on every block. So therefore, it is not a defense that there was no sign where you parked your vehicle. So we have anybody here for an administrative tow?
Yes.
Okay. So if your motor vehicle was towed, please be advised that Illinois law and the Lombard Code of Ordinances permit the police to impound a vehicle whenever a police officer is caused to believe the vehicle was used in the commission of certain underlying offenses. Now, under the statute and ordinance, there's a laundry list of offenses. Very typically, I see things like driving on a suspended license, driving on a revoked license, possession of drugs. There's a long list. So if your vehicle was impounded, you will or were required to pay an administrative fee to the village. This administrative fee is to compensate the village for the administrative and processing costs associated with the removal, impound, and ultimately release of the vehicle. The owner of the vehicle has the right to challenge the imposition of the administrative fee at this hearing today. I will consider all the evidence presented and determine whether the vehicle was used in the commission of the underlying offense. If I find by the legal standard known as preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not, or if you're mathematically inclined, something more than 50%, I'm required to impose that administrative fee of $500. I'm not permitted to waive or vary that fee in any way. So having said all of that, I'd like to swear you all in, just like they do on television. However, this is serious. You will actually be under penalty for perjury. So if you raise your right hands, do you solemnly, are you gonna testify? Thank you, sir. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Only that God is my master.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's get started.
Bulma?
Morning, Judge. Brittany Boma, for the record, B-O-M-A, Brittany, T-T-A-M-R.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
And for the record, this is citation 811-1409. Lombard resident only. Ticket was issued over on August 7th. I do have a receipt for a spot, and
Correct.
that was paid for at 6:04 a.m.
Right.
The ticket was issued at 7:48. So is there an
And
issue?
the tickets for, it's like that permit that I paid for is for 12 hours. So I was incorrectly cited,
Okay.
wrongfully cited.
Okay. So are you a Lombard resident?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a evidence of that?
Yes, I have a 9-4 bill stating my address on it.
Okay. So this is a night core bill from earlier this year?
Yeah.
So from the spring, it's
Yeah.
February to March?
Yeah, but it still says 2720
Right.
something.
Yeah. Right. Okay, and it's your testimony that you're a Lombard resident?
Yes, it is my.
How long have you been a resident?
Since December.
Ballpark,
I'm sorry,
ballpark, you don't have to tell me dates.
December of 2018.
Okay. Have you updated your driver's license yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, you only have 30 days to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, the Secretary of State gets kind of hanky. They send you a notice, you won't get it. Okay, so based on your testimony, the evidence provided, I'm gonna enter a finding of not liable.
Thank
So
you.
not guilty, and then I'll just encourage you, going forward, be more careful. Make sure you update that license so you don't get in more trouble.
Well, yeah, it was my plate. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Johnson?
And don't forget your order. It's not printing yet, but it should.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just a letter that says that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay,
Good morning. So this is citation 42-186. All right, so this was issued on June 30th, 2019 for handicap parking. And you had an expired placard over at Unlawful. Did you submit a written protest maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it didn't, my written is not necessarily as great as my verbal, so I bought everything with me.
I got you. Well, I knew you were familiar somehow. Okay, so, so that information did make its way to me. I considered it before the hearing.
Okay.
I think you're not liable.
Oh,
Yeah.
cause I bought it, oh,
Right, so we had a hearing before, and I found you liable because I didn't have any evidence of that handicap placard. And now you have one, for the record, it's placard UK 07634, which is valid through January of 2020.
yes, look.
Right. So, and then the police department ran your history of handicap placards, and it shows that you secured that new placard on July the 3rd, 2019.
Yeah.
So that's technically after the date of
But
violation.
this is, oh.
But I think given the totality of the circumstances, we find you not guilty.
Thank you.
Like, I didn't even have.
Well, I could let you wanna present your case, you can. I just figured I already did the work, we'll make you happy. And moving forward, you're just gonna be careful, right?
Yeah, but yes, because what it is that this, I do everything too.
That's fantastic.
Okay, these plates were initially registered to I had a 2016 Nissan. Very first car.
Very nice, very nice.
And we're not gonna discuss that, I never drove the car, I never got in the car, I even did nothing, I just bought the car was too short. But anyway, I got the car, these license plates was on the car. And so my son, and I had the Chevy that you're talking about, the 1999 Chevy Blazer. The plates were, these plates were on the 1999 Chevy Blazer originally. And so my son said, Mom.
With that plate number.
With this plate
Right,
number.
okay.
So my son said, Mom, you got a brand new car. You know, you should put granddaddy's plates on the new car, which is these plates. So then I had them transferred over to the 2016 Nissan. And in the meantime, in between time, I was stopped at a stop light. And this lady ran to the back of me. She was found that way. And she tore up my car.
Oh, boy. The brand new car.
And you can see where the license plate is on it.
Yeah, I see that license plate.
And then you can see that she ran me under
The truck.
this truck. How'd you know?
Because I recognize the pattern of damage. Yeah.
So then since this car got totaled, I decided to put my other license plate, the 4-digit license plate, back on the 20. What they didn't tell me is that because I'm going by this date.
Right.
So I didn't know that I could transfer them before this date. I thought it had to be like on this date.
Oh, so the wrong plate was up.
Right.
The plate on the vehicle wasn't registered to that vehicle, it was registered to the other vehicle.
Right,
Okay.
and so
That's a
in
no-no.
the meantime, in between time, because of the accident, I went into therapy. I brought you all my therapy stuff where I went
boy.
on physical therapy. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay, but my insurance kicks in and kicks out. So when it was time for me to get my hands injected, my insurance was in, but I forgot to bring the form for the sticker.
Okay.
And so when I got ready to go back, the lady told me, she said, Ms. Johnson, you do realize that your insurance is not kicked in, so the doctor can't see you. And if the doctor does see you, oh, wait a minute, because I've had some doctors that said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll see you. Where is one? This is, my doctor says, oh, don't worry about it. See the bill they sent me, because I didn't have any insurance?
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
Right, so.
Did you come all the way out here from Chicago? Okay. Well, but I did find you not liable.
So
not
thank
guilty.
you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to let you know that I didn't do it deliberately. And
And I know everybody cares.
Gloria came with me too, because that's why we went to Lombard to begin with, because her cousin was having this 50th birthday party, and she needed some shoes, and that Lombard's like the best.
Gloria, is it your fault?
Lombard's like the best place in the world to go with shoes.
Well, fantastic. Well, see, I learned something this morning. Thank you very much. That printed up, right?
That's
Yeah.
the first time I've
You
ever
already
seen
print it?
a
Yeah.
person
What's your
clean
name?
case and that's where he's in.
Print out your letter.
That way,
No.
All right, so you've got that. Okay, well, you're here, sir. Last but not least.
Blessing, sir.
Can I have your first and last name?
Yes, I'm here by special appearance, sui juris, Kevin Ladwig.
Can you spell your last name?
Ladewig.
Okay, here we go. Oh, you called my office, didn't you? Okay, so, but for the record, we didn't talk, we haven't spoken, right? Because it's not
Right.
appropriate for me to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is TOW 822-54. Let's see. Okay,
May I ask one thing for the record?
I'm sorry?
May I ask one thing for the record?
Sure.
Are you on oath? Do you have a constitutional oath?
Do I have a constitutional oath? Well, yes, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Illinois.
Excellent.
I'm a practicing attorney, so, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
So this is, all right, let me take a look here. So the underlying alleged charges are driving while license suspended, possession of cannabis less than 10 grams, Speeding is not a basis for the tow. We've got no insurance, and then driving with expired license plates. So this allegedly occurred back on August the 10th of this year. So you're contesting the validity of the tow?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you like to tell me?
All right. Please let me finish. All right.
Well, as long as you're relevant to the proceedings, I'm happy to let you.
Very relevant.
Thank
Very
you, sir.
relevant, sir. Supreme Court decisions are considered the law of the land in regards to constitutionally protected rights, and they cannot be interpreted or reinterpreted as they are stare decisis, already reviewed and described as law. 1. Federal law and Supreme Court cases apply to state court cases. Howell versus Rose. 496 U.S. 356, 1990. No state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it. Murdoch versus Penn, 319 U.S. 105. If the state converts a liberty into a privilege, the citizen can engage in the right with impunity. Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, 373 U.S. 262. Operation of a motor vehicle upon public streets and highways is not a mere privilege, but is a right or liberty protected by the guarantees of federal and state constitutions. Adams versus City of Pocatello, 416 P2D 46. The right to travel on the public highway is a constitutional right. Tech Lines versus Danford, Mississippi, 12 SO 2D 784 787. Anything that is a right cannot be subject to conditions or licensing. Lane versus Wilson, 307 U.S. 268 275. Every state law must conform in the first place to the Constitution of the United States and then to the subordinate constitution of the particular state. And if it infringes upon the provisions of either, it is so far void. Houston versus Moore, 18 U.S. 1, 5 LED 19. And the Constitution itself is in every sense a law. Carter versus Carter Coal Company, 298 U.S. 140, 296, 1935. No sanction can be imposed absent proof of jurisdiction. Standard versus Olson, 74. SCT 768. With no injured party, a complaint is invalid on its face. Gibson versus Boyle, 139 Arizona 512. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highway and to transport his property thereon in the ordinary course of life and business is a common right which he has under his right to enjoy life and liberty, to acquire and possess property, and to pursue happiness and safety. It includes the right in doing so to use the ordinary and usual conveyances of the day, and under the existing modes of travel include the right to drive a horse-drawn carriage or wagon thereof, or to operate an automobile thereon for the usual and ordinary purpose of life and business. It is not a mere privilege, like the privilege of moving a house in the street, operating a business stand in the street, or transporting persons or property for hire along the street, which a city may permit or prohibit at will. Thompson versus Smith, 154 SE 579 at 583. Therefore, Federal Code Law, Title 42, Section 666, which indicates that we can't buy, sell, travel, trade, or work without a Social Security number, is seemingly in direct violation of the Supreme Court decisions which invalidate Title 42, Section 666. It is unconstitutional to require one to have a Social Security number and driver's license to travel. Criminal and statutory jurisdiction. All persons are presumed to know the law. If any person acts under any unconstitutional statute, he does so at his own peril. He must take the consequences. 16 AM Jur 177, 1781. Person is not criminally responsible unless criminal intent accompanies wrongful act. Gasho versus U.S. 39F 3D 1420, 9th Circuit, 1994. If an administrative officer or agency acts outside the scope of its authority or jurisdiction, its act are null and void. Doolin versus Carr, 125 U.S. 618. When federal officials perpetrate constitutional torts, they do so ultra veritas and lose the shield of sovereign immunity. Williams versus U.S. Department of Agriculture, 815 F2D 369. Decency, security, and liberty alike demand that government officials shall be subject to the rules of conduct that are commands to the citizens. U.S. versus Olmstead, 277 U.S. 438, 1928. Remedy. The Constitution provisions that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor private property taken for public use without compensation, are intended as limitations upon the power of the government in its dealings with the citizens and relates to that class of rights whose protection is peculiar within the province of the judicial branch of government, and that the courts are bound to give remedy for unlawful invasion of rights of property by officers of any breach of government. United States versus Lee, 106 U.S. 196, 1882. I also would like to stand on the Fifth Amendment.
Okay. So by saying that, you're indicating to me you won't answer any of my questions, which you don't have to.
That is not what I'm indicating. I'm indicating that I have to be compensated for property that has
okay.
been seized.
All right, so you apparently you did submit a written
Affidavit,
motion or
yes,
brief
yes.
to the Village of Lombard.
I did.
I've read that, as part of the packet here. I've reviewed the police report and some various other documents.
I've got video on it also.
I'm sorry?
I've got video on it also.
Okay.
And then they did claim in the inventory report, they defamed my character by claiming that I'm a sovereign citizen, which is basically a known establishment for terrorism. So by doing that, defaming my character on that, and defaming my legal documents, which are actually Supreme Court CITINGS. So.
Right, yeah, and I've examined what you provided to the village.
I do have more if you'd like.
I'm sorry?
I do have more if you would like.
Okay. No, at this point, I'm very comfortable with your position, and I respect that.
Thank you, sir.
So, looking at the records provided to me, it does appear that on the date of the alleged violation, you didn't have a valid driver's license. Is that correct?
In the state of Illinois, don't need a driver's license.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm showing that you didn't have a valid license. I also see that your plates were expired. Were your plates expired?
I'm on a contract with the Secretary of State in the Department of Motor Vehicle.
Okay.
So yes, I've excluded myself from all the contracts.
Okay.
UCC 1308 without prejudice.
Okay. All right. So because what I'm seeing from the record indicates that the plates were expired, and both of those are bases for towing of the vehicle.
It's not
and
a
there's
commercial.
possession of the cannabis.
It's not a commercial vehicle.
Okay. Thank you. Did you also have cannabis on your person?
I did.
Okay. I appreciate your candor. I do. Speeding isn't a concern for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so as I said earlier, I'm an attorney. I've been doing these hearings for quite a while now. I have reviewed the documents and the citations that you have referred to me. I don't find them persuasive. You do have the right to travel on the public ways, but you have to have a valid driver's license, and you have to have...
By what law?
Well, hang on. I let you talk. Okay. Let me talk.
Very well.
Because we're on the record here, and I want to make sure. Yeah. So, and this is my finding, and the Supreme Court's very clear on points that, that right to travel on the public roads can be conditioned on things like having a driver's license for operating a motor vehicle, having valid registration on that motor vehicle. There's a host of things, and there's plenty of case law on that point. So, well, let me finish. So, based on that and the fact that, there doesn't seem to be any issue of fact related to the validity of the license, the possession of cannabis, and the expiration of the license plates, I do unfortunately have to enter a finding of liable. The amount of the administrative fee will be that $500 that I mentioned at the beginning of the hearing.
And you're going to compensate me then?
So that
According
is
to
not
the
my role.
according to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution,
Sir, that's my
If-
finding.
That's
I'm
not a
gonna-
finding.
I'm not gonna argue the case with you. As
Really?
I said in the beginning.
Okay.
as I
Under
said-
what jurisdiction?
As I said in the
Under what
beginning,
jurisdiction? You have no jurisdiction.
Okay, so if you're not gonna let me finish, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead. You're right.
You do have the right to file an appeal if you disagree with my findings. You have 35 days to file that appeal in the circuit court of the 18th Judicial Circuit. Okay? You understand that, right?
I do not understand.
Okay. Well, I've explained it twice.
I am asking,
So you should,
I'm asking and demanding that you honor your oath that you have taken
thank you, sir.
and recognize the Supreme Court findings that I stated earlier.
Thank you.
That I do not
So
need a
have
license,
that
I do not
order.
need a license to drive my personal property, which is an automobile. Do not need it, registration for a motor vehicle on an automobile.
Thank you, sir. That is not my finding. All right, so we have that order printed up for you. You can get a copy from the clerk station over there.
Just hold on, get this right. This is not the end.
Note for the record, time is now 9:57 a.m. No one else is in the audience with regards to the balance of the administrative
Listen.
code.
All right, Mr. Valley, there's a warrant for your arrest. Put your hands behind your back and under arrest. Case down.
Really, now I'm being accosted.
There's a
Okay.
warrant for your arrest. You are under arrest. Do
By
not
what
resist.
authority? You have not provided, you have not provided any documentation yet.
Do not resist.
You have not provided any documentation.
We will.
This is not a resist, this is
is
now
resisting.
documentation.
When you're not
Do you have an
complying,
order
it's
signed by a judge?
Yes,
Yeah.
Let's see it.
I have to be at the station.
Oh, now it's at a state show, you're arresting me without paperwork.
You
Without
don't
proper
need the paperwork.
Really? Okay,
We only have to provide it to you later,
okay.
which we will.
Do you want her to take this
Yes,
down?
please, yes.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, go ahead. This way.
You guys are funny.
Over this way.
You guys are slick, huh?
Not slick.
You guys are breaking the law,
Acting
acting outside. Yeah?
That truck on this one.
No.
All right. Do you have anything I need to know about Mr. Ludwig? Any knives?
No, sir. I'm not a threat like you guys.
Later?
Yes.
You want your friend to take this?
No.
Well, it's not going to go with you, so it's going to be taken off your person.
You cannot take this.
I can actually, because you cannot have anything on your person when you get arrested.
Really? All right. So you're refusing me on that, huh? Will you hold it then? So that way this can all be
It'll
removed?
go with you.
$100 there and a lighter.
Do you want her to take any of this stuff, or do you want it?
Yes, have her take that, please.
Ma'am!
Vicky,
Ma'am!
can you please take my money?
Do you want her to take this or no?
No.
Okay, well,
She needs to view this.
it's going to be put into property, so you're not going to have.
All right,
use of
I'll
it.
have her take that. I will have her take that. Hold on one second. Okay. Mr. Ludwig?
All right, it's on.
Yes.
Smile for the camera. Jim says you can drive his car over and we'll take your... Okay, I'm done, Kevin. Done. He got arrested right then and there. Excuse me.